Live. Hello, this is Warren. I'm checking out, let's see how this is working. I'm just starting early. We're going to start in about 5 minutes into the content, or maybe 6 or 7 minutes into the content. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay, if everything looks okay. You can see the outline here. The outline's over here for what we're going to be talking about. I see Thaddeus, I see Stuck in the Middle, I see Jose Barbosa Jr. Can you guys hear me okay? I can't tell whether you guys can hear me or not. It looks like everything's working. Audio's good. Thank you, Sajal. Thank you. Looks like we're good. Okay, so I'm not starting yet. It looks like we're supposed to start in about 3 minutes. So I'm trying to do a thank you, Libellula. Thank you, Carl. So I'm trying to set up to do a little bit more of a professional job in this live stream. I don't know if professional is the right word, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to start talking about the content in a couple of minutes. Ford is going bankrupt. You're coming through excellent. Can you see me? No, I can't see you. Good question, though, Tubito. So, I'm really excited. I got to know where to look. The camera's there. I got to know where to look to make sure I'm doing this right. So I'm really excited. I think Battery Day is going to be spectacular. I'm always trying different setups, by the way. So this is actually, we have a room in our house. It's an upstairs office. It's a 5th bedroom that we converted to an office. You can see behind me back here, that's our closet and our built-in drawers and stuff. And I could show you around a little bit. This is our, hang on, there's some desks over there. This is my fancy lighting to make things look good. So anyway, I don't know if I need the headphones because I don't think there's any sound. I might take the headphones off. Let me take the headphones off and see how that works. I don't think the headphones are going to matter. You could turn the mic volume down just a bit. I can do that. Got a thing for that. Okay. You can actually turn it. It's breaking up when you speak directly. Maybe I could push the microphone away too. This is always a challenge. So yeah, we got another minute to go. I'm always trying different setups. I have a green screen in my bedroom that I have set up. If you've seen my green screen videos. Hi, Dean. I'm not wearing my glasses, so it's harder for me to read the chat. I'm sorry about that, but I'll do the best I can. If you see me going like this, it's because I'm reading the chat. Ben, no, I'm not going to Battery Day. I did not get the magic golden ticket invite, so I'm very disappointed about that. I actually bought a ticket. I have what do you call it? I have a voucher, or an airline voucher for a trip I didn't take. That I was able to convert into a voucher for future travel, and I'm never going to use it, so I booked my flight. Hi, Jan. Hello, everybody. Hi, Mark. Word is the MS Zune. Interesting. So, let me go back to I'm still learning how to do this right. So, just in case anybody didn't see it, Elon Musk fan club t-shirt, Elon fan club t-shirt. I got merch. I've been wearing these shirts in recent videos. Honestly, I don't think the merchandise thing is going to work out. I did the numbers, and unless you guys start buying a really ridiculous number of t-shirts, this isn't going to happen. So I'm probably going to stop emphasizing the merch. I'm wearing it for this one. Hey, James, thank you. James, thank you. I do want to send a shout out or a thank you to my Patreon supporters. I see one of them on here now. I probably should have printed a list so I could verify, but I really appreciate your support. Anybody who wants to support this channel, we're up to, I think, 20 or 24 patrons. That makes it easier for me to do what I'm doing. I'm really pretty much shifting into, this is becoming my main thing. I'm really happy about how this process has gone. I really enjoy making videos about Tesla, SpaceX, Neurolink, Boring Company, and I'll probably branch into other tech topics. I'm really enjoying this. We're going to start. No, and just CM, I'm going to get into Lucid in a minute. I am not concerned about Lucid because of my interest in Tesla. I'm concerned about Lucid because I was hoping for Lucid to be something special, and I was just really radically disappointed. I was watching that reveal waiting to see how great it was going to be, and they just completely let me down. So, but before I go there, and a lot of people have been asking me to do a video about Nikola. I really don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't care about Nikola. I never cared from the very beginning. I thought it was junk, and I don't know why people got excited about it. But I don't think merch is, just for those who just came in, I'm showing off my merchandise. I did the numbers, and if I sold 100 of these shirts at a $10 profit each, it's $1,000, and there's no way I'm going to sell 100 of these shirts. So I think this was just something I tried, and I'll leave the merch up there, and if people buy it at some point, great. I think they're great shirts. My family thinks they're great shirts. I got these. I got Starship t-shirts and everything, but they're good. So let's get into it. We're a couple minutes past the start time. You can see on the screen here that I've got an outline of what this talk is going to include. I think I think this is everything. On the side here, further over, there's going to be, as I go through the video, it'll show where we are along. So if you come in late and you want to skip ahead, there's going to be a smaller version of this outline here that you'll be able to skip ahead and find what you're looking for. I'm trying to be more professional. Richard asks, are you selling any position when the price shoots up to $600 rather quickly? No. I'm not selling stock in Tesla. I am retiring. My IRA becomes accessible tax-free, not tax-free, but penalty-free in 10 years. I plan on holding my Tesla stock for 10 years. I'm not worried about day-to-day share price. Thank you, Jan. If you want to promote it, anybody wants to promote anything I'm doing, please do so. Anything you do to help promote this channel or buy merch or support me on Patreon, anything you do like that helps me do this. I've decided to do this basically full time. I'm an attorney, and I've pretty much cut back on my. Somebody doesn't like me. Isima, whatever. Okay, so somebody got bounced, and if you do it again, you're going to be blocked. I'm an attorney. I'm mostly retired as an attorney, but I'm trying to cut back on being an attorney. I've been doing that for a while. I'm doing other things. And how do I get this guy rid of this guy? Somebody's got it. Okay. So there are some rude people. I don't know why this is happening. I guess YouTube is what it is. So if you post offensive comments, I'm going to block you from the chat if I see it. So let's keep this. This should be polite and pleasant, and you can disagree with me. Just don't use foul language and don't be offensive. Unless you find you could show I'm stupid, but just say it politely. So the beginning. So first of all, this is a Battery Day live stream. Thank you everybody for coming. I want to start with an introduction: who, what, when, where, how, and why. I'm Warren Redlick. People have asked me if I have some special knowledge. I am a Tesla fan. I'm a tech geek. I'm not a Tesla fan. I'm an Elon Musk fan. I'm a tech geek. I started using computers and literally programming computers in middle school in the mid-1970s on a Commodore 4K PET. The computer I was using had far less power than my phone. Far less power than my phone. Tape drive, a cassette tape drive. So been really into technology for a very long time. I'll have to look at that, Jan, but I'll have to do that next video because I don't know how to do that now and I want to learn it. Jan's suggesting I could assign moderators. So that's who I am. I'm a tech geek. I started doing videos. I've had a YouTube channel for close to 10 years. Mostly I did videos related to criminal justice or being a crazy libertarian. And about a year ago, I did a video about SpaceX Starship, and it really took off. And I started making more videos about SpaceX and Tesla. This is about Tesla, and more of my videos are about Tesla. I'm actually more excited about SpaceX and Neurolink than I am about Tesla. But I own a lot of stock in Tesla, so for my retirement, I'm really happy about Tesla because I can't buy stock in SpaceX or Neuralink yet. So, what? Battery Day is coming. Battery Day is coming in 2 days. I'm the Who, and I'm the Who who's speaking, and the Who is Tesla and Elon Musk are going to be presenting Battery Day, and I'm expecting a they're going to be presenting a huge amount of information about what's happening with Tesla's improvements in batteries and other things. So I'm really excited. Oh, an Altair, that's awesome. Commodore 64. I used a Commodore 64. I programmed on a Commodore 64. Basic, I think we used. I remember making a Pac-Man game using peeks and pokes to access the screen pixels. Crazy stuff. So, Battery Day is this big event that's coming up in 2 days. They're going to be most of this talk is going to be about what I think most of the event is going to be about, which is batteries, batteries, batteries. As you can see, there's a little bit more I think they're going to talk about. I think we're going to hear more about Tesla Model Y's manufacturing, but I'm not going to cover that in this talk because maybe I will. I'm really excited about Model Y, but I didn't think about that when I drew up my outline. I kept adding to the outline. There are earlier versions of the outline that you'll see that there's other stuff in the outline here that you can see here that aren't in the first steps of the outline. Assembler, wow. My brother did Fortran cards. So, when is Tuesday? Where is Fremont, California, and live streaming on Tesla's channel? How? I don't know. I just started writing stuff. And why is so Elon and Tesla can explain what the future is of Tesla. And this video is my attempt to predict what I think is coming and why it's important. And I think if you're a fan of Tesla, if you're interested in this, I think you're really going to get excited about what we're doing and what's going on. So, and I think a lot of people already are really excited. And this is my take. I learn a lot from other YouTubers. I learn a lot from Twitter and reading. It's funny because there's so much junk in the world, but there's some really good stuff in the world that you can, in the social media and everything. Limiting Factor is a brilliant channel. There's a lot of great stuff I'm seeing on Twitter that motivated a lot of what I'm talking about today. So let's go forward. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is Lucid Motors. So where is that? Okay, got to make that visible. Lucid Motors this is the Lucid Air. Lucid Motors did a reveal, I think it was a week or two ago now. And I was very excited about Lucid Motors. The CEO is a former top engineer at Tesla. They got a lot of Tesla people working there. I genuinely believe Tesla. Look, I want Tesla to win. I want Tesla to be successful. Everything else, great. I genuinely believe that Tesla is not. Fundamentally, they don't have the ability to produce enough electric vehicles to satisfy the market demand. People talk, and you'll see this, by the way. You'll see people talking about, well, the EV market's going to grow. The EV market's going to grow this much and so on and so forth. Like, no, it's the vehicle market. There's no EV market and vehicle market. There's a market for vehicles, period. And if somebody like Lucid or Rivian comes along and makes a great electric vehicle, Tesla can't make enough to satisfy all the demand. They can't. There's so much demand for EVs. This is one of those FUD Tesla Q things where they say there's no demand. There is huge demand for EVs because EVs are just better. And if somebody comes along and makes a great EV, I'm stoked about it. I was really stoked about Lucid. But I want to talk about why I was disappointed. First of all, I made a video that did really well in a sense. It's got a fair number of views. It's actually, the views are growing the last couple of days because I think people are catching on. People want the truth. It really struck me after I watched that video and I did my video. I was upset because I felt that the reveal was terrible. They didn't reveal anything. Sorry, I'm laughing at a joke. I thought they were going to reveal substance. They were going to say, this is how we're doing what we're doing. This is what we're going to deliver that's going to make Lucid great. And really, it was just a big fluff piece, and it was very, very disappointing. And I found it not only disappointing, but in some places dishonest. And I said so. And it's really striking that, my video has something like 10-to-1 thumbs up to thumbs down. Yeah, actually, Mark, I agree with you. It's they want to get bought by somebody. I think VW, not GM. But I think that I just really expected more. So I did my video, and the video was very well received by thumbs up to thumbs down. I got a lot of comments. It got a lot more engagement than my other videos. People understand engagement. People responded to the video positively or negatively. I got a lot of comments, a lot of attack comments, both there and on Twitter, people attacking me for it. And, I really want it to be good. But it really struck me how vociferous the response was and how troll-like some of the responses were. People were saying, oh, they use race-proven technology. And this is things I didn't address in the video. I kind of mentioned they talked about their battery pack and it coming from Formula E racing. Well, it's not the same batteries because the Formula E uses Murata batteries, and Lucid struck a deal with LG Chem. The demands for a race are completely different for the demands from a road car. The thing goes from 100 charge to 0 charge once, right? And it covers about 50 miles in a race, and then you could just replace the batteries at that point. As far as I know, some people have said, no, they can't replace the batteries. Of course they can replace the batteries. The 14th race would be terrible if they could never replace the batteries, because the battery capacity gets killed when you do that. When you treat it, really mistreats the battery the way they drive them in these races. It's very, very demanding on the batteries. Those are not the appropriate batteries for road racing. But people are saying, oh, they did the powertrain. No, they didn't do the powertrain. They just assembled the battery pack. So, so the point was that the trolls were saying the same phrases. This is one of the ways I think you can spot trolling, is when they say the same stock phrases that are misleading. Race-proven technology is baloney. Independently tested range. No, there was a test by a company called FEV, and maybe it's an independent company, but we don't know what FEV tested, and Lucid won't release the report. And I emailed Lucid, and Lucid emailed me back, but has never provided me with a report from FEV. Maybe they had a 200 kilowatt hour pack in the vehicle when they tested it. We don't know. And they've got this great engineering and the race experience. Porsche has way more engineering talent and race experience than Lucid, and the best they could do with the Taycan was 204 miles. Why does anybody think Lucid has better engineering than Porsche? I mean, maybe. I hope it's true. I want it to be true, but I'm not sure. So the one critical thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned the reaction. The other critical thing I wanted to mention was the battery math, okay? Because we're talking about battery day. And Lucid claims it's a 113 kilowatt hour pack. I've seen other people say it's actually 120 kilowatt hour pack. So one of the things that they didn't reveal, and I asked and they wouldn't tell, and no one knows, is what battery chemistry are they using. We're going to be talking about this later in the talk. We're going to be talking about battery chem. It's not even in this one. Sorry, it's in the other. We're going to be talking about battery chemistry. Cathodes, anodes, electrolytes, lithium iron phosphate, nickel, cobalt, aluminum, advanced battery pack. We're going to be talking about all that in this video. So are they using nickel, cobalt, aluminum like Tesla uses? Are they using nickel, manganese, cobalt that like a lot of other manufacturers use? If they are using one of these chemistries, what proportion of the chemistry is nickel? Because you need more nickel to have more energy density. So it's funny when doing research on this, I'll be talking about this later, there's higher nickel density versions of nickel, cobalt, aluminum. This is more obvious with nickel, manganese, cobalt because it's talked about more. There's the most common one I've seen is nickel, manganese, cobalt 532. Then there's a 622, which has a little bit more nickel, and then there's an 811. I think they're going for 811, but I don't know, and I don't know what kind of cycle life they're going to have. There's all kinds of issues with that. But let's assume they're using nickel, cobalt, aluminum like Tesla's using, which is the best battery technology out there that anybody's using. If you did a 120 kilowatt hour pack, and I should mention, they're not using cell to pack. I do not have an invite to Battery Day. Thank you for asking. They showed in their reveal that they're using modules. Battery modules means they're not using cell to pack. So I worked out the numbers. If they're using a 120 kilowatt hour pack, they're close to 2,000 pounds of battery in this thing. So and I'm not even sure they can get the range they claim on a 120 kilowatt hour pack. They may be going to a 150 kilowatt hour pack. We just don't know what they're doing. It's a huge amount of weight. It's a huge problem. Without knowing what chemistry they were using, it's really hard to believe. So, a lot of questions about Lucid and funding. Mark, you said they're using cheap Samsung pouch lithium batteries. No, they inked a deal with LG Chem. Their batteries are going to be from LG Chem, and their race batteries are Murata, which is a former Sony spinoff. So let's move on. So I covered Lucid. I just wanted to cover that because I got a big reaction to it, and there's going to be a Q&A at the end. If people want to talk about it more, I'll look for your Q&A. I know they're claiming a 113 kilowatt hour pack. Other people have said it's really 120, and they're fudging. So I don't know. So let's move on. And by moving on, we play this game where I do this. Boom! Oh, you see that? The outline changed. Watch this. This is Warren having fun. Oh, the outline changed. We've moved on. Oh, we're moving on from Lucid Motors. I gotta wait a minute. Okay. So now we're on cathodes and anodes and more. It's like lions and tigers and bears, oh my, so I can get rid of this thing. Oh, cathodes and anodes, that's right. So, cathodes and anodes and more. So, an important thing to understand for battery day is what's in a battery. So, 3 critical things in a battery that are going to be a part of battery day are cathodes, electrolyte, and anodes. And it's important to understand this, so I'm going to try to do this here. Cathode is at 1. This is a massive, massive oversimplification of what a battery really looks like. Okay, but fundamentally there's more than 3. But I'm going to do the 3 that are the most obvious, that are the easiest to explain. The 3 most critical parts of a battery are the cathode, that's at the top in yellow, the anode that's at the bottom, arguably positive and negative, I'm not sure that's the right way to describe it, and the electrolyte is in the middle. The electrolyte, what happens is you start off with nickel in the cathode, oversimplifying, and you start off with lithium ions, lithium in the cathode. The lithium ions, you see the little pink things with minus signs in them. The lithium ions move through the electrolyte to the anode when it's discharging. When the cathode is charged, all the ions, I could be getting this wrong. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you very much for your contribution. So the ions, the energy starts in the cathode, and then as it discharges, it moves to the anode. And then when you charge it, the energy moves back to the cathode. And that's a massive oversimplification, and I'm probably even wrong. But this is the general idea. So we're going to be talking about cathodes and anodes, and the electrolyte in the middle, the purple section in the middle, that's what the ions travel through to get from one to the other and back. There's a lot of things that are going to come into play on battery day. We don't know how much this thing or that thing is going to matter, but a lot of what I'm going to talk about is related to cathodes. But it's important to understand if you only improve the cathode, but you don't improve the anode, there's a limit to how much you can improve the battery, because it all works together. So you need to improve cathode and anode, and we're going to be talking about that. So let's start with the anode, which is going to be a part of this. There's a lot of talk that Tesla, and Limiting Factor has at least 1 great video on it, maybe 2. He has an interview with Shirley Mung that's great. And anodes currently are made with graphite. And Elon has referred to Tesla's batteries, instead of calling them lithium-ion batteries, we should call them nickel graphite batteries, because most of the mass of the battery is nickel and graphite. Your arrows with battery are confusing. You have to label curtain. It's just a graphic I got off the internet, man. I'm not saying it's perfect. I just wanted people to understand the concept of cathode, electrolyte, and anode so we can talk about it. So a lot of people believe, and I think this is a very strong argument, that the anode is being improved by adding silicon to it. Silicon allows the anode to hold more ions, but silicon expands more, and that creates problems. If the material in the anode expands badly, then it ruins itself. So you have to design the anode, and the same thing is true with the cathode, by the way, that if you do it the wrong way, then if you don't do it right, then the cathode doesn't last. If you don't do it right in the anode, then the anode doesn't last, and then you can't get your million-mile battery. You need the battery materials to survive longer, to increase cycle life. And cycle life is, you start with the energy in the cathode, you discharge and all the energy goes in the anode. If you go to 100% discharge, you charge all the way back up, that's 1 cycle. So the goal is at least 4,000 cycle life for a 250-mile battery. 4,000 times 250 is 1 million, you have a 1,000,000-mile battery. I think they're going to do better than 4,000 cycles, and I think we're going to see ranges of longer than 300 miles. Certainly, we already have ranges of more than 300 miles. So we're going to see battery packs that have a life of more than 1,000,000 miles, maybe even 1.5 million or 2 miles. Imagine a 400-mile battery pack that has 5,000 cycles, and you've got a 2 million-mile battery. And we already have a 4,000-mile battery pack in the Tesla Model S, long range. So expect to see improvements in the anode, expect to see improvements in the cathode. That's most of what the talk is going to be about today. And then the electrolyte, there's a lot of research going on what electrolytes. There's this whole issue of what electrolyte are you using. There's actually something between the electrolyte and the cathode called the SEI. There's stuff outside the cathode. There's tabs and tabless approaches. There's so many things in here. It's going to be amazing how much is going to be in here, and I can't cover it all. So I'm going to talk about what I think is the most important, and I know I'm going to miss something. So the anodes is a start. An important thing in the cathodes is, there's this issue in the research about using silicon and increasing the amount of silicon from 0 to 10% creates a huge jump in the capacity of the anode. Going to 20% increases it more. Once you start going above 20%, it's kind of like a logarithmic graph. It doesn't really do that right. Kind of a logarithmic graph that goes up, but it doesn't go up like this. It goes up like this and starts to flatten. So there's a lot of gain getting 10% or 20% of silicon into the anode, but once you get beyond that, it's not. There's a company called Lion that is taken up space next to Tesla's factory in Fremont. There's a really good sign that they're doing something with silicon in the anode. And then single crystal materials are an important feature for the cathode. Cathodes wear out. There's this phenomenon called microcracking that as the cathode goes through charge-discharge cycles, there tends to be cracking. These tiny cracks form in the cathode materials, and they've discovered or started using these single crystal materials in the cathodes. I think this may be a part of battery day, that reduces the cracking and increases cycle life. Which means that after you've driven the vehicle a couple 100,000 miles, you still have more range. You still have close to the same range as when you started. Over the life of the vehicle, the range of the vehicle is going to decline. The big question is, how quickly does that range decline to the point where it's not really a useful vehicle anymore? So, sorry, looking at comments. All right, so I think I covered what I wanted to cover there, so let's hide that. And let's move on. So we moved on to the next topic, and I gotta hide this too. Oh man, this is hard. Get rid of the cathode anode thing. Okay, lithium iron phosphate. I find very few people are talking about lithium iron phosphate. I think lithium iron phosphate is possibly the most important thing that's coming out of battery day. I think advanced battery pack might be more important in the long haul, but in a really big way, lithium iron phosphate enables the advanced battery pack. If you watch the quarterly investor call, Elon said, please mine more nickel. We need more nickel. The advanced battery pack is going to use a lot of nickel. And they're going to produce a lot of batteries. So they're going to need a lot of nickel. And it's hard to get that much nickel. That's probably going to be one of the big things that's going to hold up Tesla's growth, is the need to get more nickel so that they can make more nickel-based batteries. And that's why lithium iron phosphate matters so much, because lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry, this is the cathode. We're talking about the cathode side now. The cathode side of a lithium iron phosphate battery is made up of primarily iron phosphate that lithium gets into. Nickel cobalt aluminum is in the current Tesla batteries, most of the current Tesla batteries. That's on the cathode side. The advanced battery pack is probably going to be used another version of nickel cobalt aluminum or nickel manganese cobalt. We'll see. They're all going to use nickel. But lithium iron phosphate doesn't use nickel, and that is huge because iron and phosphate are easier to get. They're cheaper to make. And every Tesla vehicle you make, every Tesla product you make with lithium iron phosphate means you didn't need to use nickel for that. So you have nickel available for the other uses. And there are certain uses that really need the nickel. Tesla Semi needs high energy density batteries for what it's going to do. It needs the batteries to weigh as little as possible for as much range as possible, because the more the batteries weigh, the less weight of cargo they can carry. So Tesla Semi needs nickel. The high performance vehicles, Roadster, Plaid, anything that's going to have particularly long range needs higher energy density, it needs nickel. So if you can make a series of vehicles that don't use nickel-based battery chemistries, then you've saved the nickel for the other uses. And that's huge. So I'm going to talk about this a little later, but what we're already seeing lithium iron phosphate being used in batteries in Chinese Model 3s. And so people understand the reason why they don't use lithium iron phosphate as much is because it lacks the energy density, which means not only do the batteries weigh more for the same amount of energy or kilowatt hours in the pack, not only do the batteries weigh more, they also take up more volume. It's actually a bigger problem in volume. The difference between lithium iron phosphate and, say, nickel cobalt aluminum is actually greater in the volumetric energy density than it is in the mass density. So yes, lithium iron phosphates weigh more. Lithium iron phosphate batteries weigh more, so a Tesla Model 3 with an equal size battery pack will weigh more than a Tesla Model 3 with the same. But there's only so much space under a Model 3 or a Model Y. They have about the same amount of space for batteries. And lithium iron phosphate is only so big you can make the pack. So I don't think they can get to more than 50 kilowatt hours. The 75 kilowatt hours is the largest pack in a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y right now. By volume, if they use the same techniques, I don't think they might not even be able to get 40 kilowatt hours into a lithium iron phosphate pack. So I think with cell to pack, which CATL has said they're working on, do I have that here? I think I have that on another thing. Let me see if I have, yeah. CATL is working on, I think I was going to talk about this later, but CATL is working on not only cell to pack, and Tesla's working on cell to pack, but they're even working on cell to chassis, where you eliminate the pack and you just put the batteries in the chassis. We're going to come up with that later. So, if you find ways of squeezing more lithium iron phosphate batteries into your vehicle, volumetrically, if you can squeeze them into a tighter space, you can fit more batteries. And so I think they may be able to get to 50 kilowatt hour packs. I think they may be able to get to 50 kilowatt hour packs with lithium iron phosphate. We'll see. They might be limited to 40 or 45 kilowatt hours in the current Model 3. But with improvements, I think they may get to 50 kilowatt hours, which means they can get close to 300 miles on a lithium iron phosphate. So I don't think they've released what the range is on the Chinese Model 3 with lithium iron phosphate yet. I think we're waiting to see that. I think they're probably going to be around 250 to 280 miles of range with lithium iron phosphate. We'll see. I think with improvements, they may get higher. So, and I think the other use, which I'm going to talk about later with lithium iron phosphate, I think we'll see that lithium iron phosphate will get into lower end vehicles in the United States and Europe and elsewhere, Canada, Australia. But grid storage, which I'm going to talk about later in the future vehicles and products section of the talk, I'm going to be mentioning Powerwall and PowerPack. I think there's no reason not to shift grid storage to lithium iron phosphate. It costs less, so your products will cost. This is another thing, by the way, for people to know. Lithium iron phosphate costs less. A 50 kilowatt hour pack of lithium iron phosphate is going to cost maybe 75% or 60% of the cost of a nickel cobalt aluminum pack. There's a huge gain in going to lithium iron phosphate when you can. So that's fun. I think lithium iron phosphate is going to be a huge impact, but I think I talked about it enough. So let's move to nickel cobalt aluminum. Nickel cobalt aluminum is the main chemistry that Tesla currently uses in most vehicles in most places. That's what Panasonic is making in the Nevada Gigafactory. That is apparently the highest energy density battery currently on the market for any vehicles. So I think we're going to continue to see nickel cobalt aluminum used. I think there's research. So I believe the current nickel cobalt aluminum batteries use 80% nickel, are composed of about 80% nickel. And I think they can get to 90% nickel, which means we're going to see some improvement in nickel cobalt aluminum. And I think there's a chance, I'm not saying it's highly likely, but Panasonic mentioned they thought they could get nickel cobalt aluminum to 300 watt hours per kilogram. Just to be clear, the nickel cobalt aluminum batteries that the Tesla currently uses are about 250 watt hours per kilogram, which means trying to do the math in my head. It gives you if you do the math, you can come up with what the weight is of, let's say, a 50 kilowatt hour pack or a 75 kilowatt hour pack or 100 kilowatt hour pack. So they're 250 watt hours per kilogram. Lithium iron phosphate lately has been 160 watt hours per kilogram. I think they're going to push lithium iron phosphate to 200 watt hours per kilogram at the cell level. There's cell level and there's pack level. By getting rid of modules, you increase the pack level. They're not using Lucid pouch cells. I think we're going to talk about this later. I think they're going to be using lithium iron phosphate in cylindrical cells. And I don't think they're going to explode. I think Tesla's good enough to prevent that from happening. So nickel, cobalt, aluminum, I think we're going to see, Panasonic said they thought they could stretch nickel, cobalt, aluminum to 300 watt hours per kilogram in a couple years. I am predicting, and this is a weak prediction, that Tesla will announce they've gotten nickel, cobalt, aluminum to 275 watt hours per kilogram already or very soon at the Nevada Gigafactory, which is a significant improvement. It's not huge, but it's significant. Malcolm, no, I did not find out for sure what chemistries they use in energy storage. There's actually a clip where Elon says they use whatever they can get. I think they have a lot more flexibility in what they could put in energy storage products, and I think they put in whatever they can get cheap because it doesn't matter. I think they started with nickel, cobalt, aluminum, but then in order to produce in volume, I think they've taken other things. So just really quick on nickel, cobalt, aluminum, I think we can, I didn't want to talk about this one as much. I think we can expect we're going to see some incremental improvements in nickel, cobalt, aluminum. There's a possibility that nickel, cobalt, aluminum will be in the advanced battery pack. And there's an important detail also about nickel, cobalt, aluminum. It uses relatively little cobalt. And if they're able to advance the nickel, cobalt, aluminum chemistry, they may even get cobalt down further. I don't think it gets them to zero, but it's getting them closer. And I don't think they're going to announce zero cobalt. The lithium iron phosphate, by the way, is zero cobalt. And for those who don't know, there's a lot of reasons why companies don't want to use cobalt in their batteries, including child labor in the countries some of the countries that develop cobalt. Great interview with Kristen Netton, K10, that I did about a week ago, where she talked about how cobalt is a byproduct of nickel mining, and if they're careful when they mine nickel, they may be able to generate some cobalt that way, which is a better way of getting cobalt. So we'll see about that. Yeah, I believe lithium iron phosphate is safer, Ben. I think that's an excellent point. So, Guasabito asks when Tesla will start doing their own batteries. That's going to be in the advanced battery pack section coming up. So, there's a possibility that they will use nickel, cobalt, aluminum for the advanced battery pack. But we're going to talk about the advanced battery pack now because I don't see any questions about nickel, cobalt. I think people are bored of nickel, cobalt, aluminum. They don't get it. So, we're going to move on to advanced battery pack. This is the thing people are most excited about. And I have to admit, I am excited about advanced battery pack. I just think lithium iron phosphate may be more important. But advanced battery pack is huge. Huge, huge, huge. And let me find the tweet. Elon tweeted this, and this was like mind-boggling. Okay? Elon tweeted that he anticipates achieving 400 watt hours per kilogram with high cycle life in volume in 3 to 4 years. That is a monster. That is a monster number. That is like shocking. That is where the advanced battery pack is going. Rob, maybe we could talk about that at the end in the Q&A. The new batteries through whatever. So if they're able to achieve, so my prediction, one of my big predictions is Elon and JB Straubel and others have said that battery technology in terms of energy density improves about 5% a year. And if you do 1.05 to the third or fourth power, which he's doing 3 to 4 years, that's the math you would do, and you divide 400 by that number, you get to around 340 watt hours per kilogram. So just to see where we're going there, I am predicting that Tesla will announce, that Elon will announce that the advanced battery pack being manufactured now in Fremont has achieved 340 watt hours per kilogram. Could be 330, could be 350, but I think they're going to announce in the ballpark of 340 watt hours per kilogram, which is a monster increase in energy density for the batteries. And I think all of these things that we've talked about before, cathodes, anodes, electrolytes, single crystal materials, all of this is going to come into play, and we are going to hear 340 watt hours per kilogram in production, and it's going to. I'm so stoked. This is like spectacular to get to, and I don't see. Yes, Timothy, I think they're going to hit 325 to 350 a battery. I think they're not only going to hit it. It's going to be already in production. I think Elon is driving a Plaid Model S with 340 watt hours per kilogram today. With the foundational rewrite on FSD, I think Elon is driving like a supercar as his daily driver, and he knows. I think he's going to show it off, and I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but that's huge. So advanced battery pack, there's a lot of things that are going into that. cathodes, it's anodes. I think is that an later? I think I'm going to talk about that later. Let me talk about it now. Let me see if I can find it. I think I have a picture of this 54 millimeter. A lot of people are talking about this, so let's talk about this. Fred from Electrek released this image that he got from somebody that purports to be an image of a new battery cell from Tesla that's going to be part of Battery Day. We're not talking about graphene yet. We're not talking about solid state. We're just doing all that stuff is coming down the road, but not yet. So, this battery cell, there's a lot of speculation about what this is, and I'm going to offer you my opinion about it now. Limiting Factor just did a video about it where he said he thinks it's actually a 40 millimeter diameter, 75 millimeter height. I think this is a 54 millimeter diameter, 98 millimeter height cylindrical cell. I think this is an LFP, lithium iron phosphate battery. I don't think this is the new advanced battery pack chemistry. I could be wrong. You know, we're going to find this all out in a couple days. But lithium iron phosphate batteries already exist in roughly this size, where this hasn't been done with nickel. And lithium iron phosphate is less prone to overheating. And the wider, the bigger diameter you make the cell, the more risk there is of overheating. So I think, I'm amazed no one has thought of this. And Limiting Factor just released a video this morning or last night where he talked about this cell. And he even mentioned in the video that there's a lithium iron phosphate cell that's 54 millimeters in diameter. He didn't mention it directly, but it was in an image he was showing to explain what lithium iron phosphate's like. So it seems very likely to me that this is just a lithium iron phosphate cell that they're going to be using. And this is going to be part of cell to pack and cell to chassis eventually maybe, to make lithium iron phosphate effective enough that you can achieve close to 300 miles of range. I heard 54 by 98, Mark, but you know what? 54 by 100, 54 by 70, 40, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. I think it's great. Stuck in the Middle says, I think the Model X is going to be discontinued to make room for expansion. I thought that too, but people tell me that the Model X sells better than the Model S. So I think they're going to keep making it. I don't think they need to get rid of productive lines. Ben, I'm not going to talk about tabless design. Limiting Factor has a couple of videos about that are great. Honestly, that one's over my head. I'm not big enough. I think tablets may very well be part of Battery Day. I don't understand this stuff well enough to be able to talk about that. Yeah, cooling is going to be a big issue. All this is going to be a big issue. No, not 10x the density elements. No, not 10x. All right, so anyway, this was a part of, I don't think this is advanced, this thing here, I don't think this is advanced battery pack. I think this is lithium iron phosphate. I might be wrong. It's not like I know, it's just like, we already know they do that. So I'm going to hide this and let's move on to, we're talking about advanced battery pack. So keys to advanced battery pack are going to be higher energy density, 340 watt hours per kilogram. I think I'm going to cover that later. And then using cell to pack. So let's move on to cell to pack. If you get 340 watt hours per kilogram at the cell level, and then let's go ahead and go to cell to pack here. Gotta work on this. Okay, so we just moved to cell to pack. We're now talking about cell to pack and cell to chassis. If you go from cells into modules into pack, into the car, and you instead do cells directly into pack with no module in the way, you've saved some weight, you've saved some volume, you can squeeze more batteries in, and you increase the energy density at the pack level. You can take it a step further. I just showed this image a minute ago. You can take it a step further, and you can do, I'm going to block my face out for a second, you can do cell to chassis. CATL is talking about going cell to chassis, which means, I'm going to move this aside for a second, so make this a little smaller. So cell to chassis, and now you're eliminating the pack, and you're just saving more volume and more weight, and you can get more out of your lithium iron phosphate cells in particular, maybe other cells. I think that actually makes sense to go cell to chassis, but I don't know how difficult the engineering challenge is. So I don't have an opinion on charge rates. I think charge rates, it's one of those things, I actually think fast charging is far less important than other people think. I think charging is already pretty much fast enough for most people, most situations. What does cell to chassis look like? There's no pack. The chassis is designed to just drop the cells right in. I think that's the idea. Check out the Inside of EV's article. I just thought that was a really cool concept, and We'll see if that's actually happening. So when you combine the higher energy density of, say, 340 watt hours per kilogram with going to cell to pack, which means you're saving volume and mass by not having the modules, and larger cells would make that easier. That allows you to get a higher energy density at the pack level, which means you get a larger effective battery pack in the same vehicle, which means the vehicle can get more range. And you're also lowering the cost because you're not manufacturing the modules. So I think if you do things right, things go together. Yeah, well, cell to car like cell to chassis. That's the idea. I don't know if GigaPress could enable cell to chassis. Maybe. I'm not sure how that would work. Nitin Official, you asked, can you explain? I'm not sure what you want me to explain. You can already get 300 kilometers in 10. Yeah, I think charge rates are already pretty good. I mean, let me just digress for that in a second, because people get really concerned about fast charging. I don't think fast charging is that important. I'm sorry. Currently, put it this way, the average person drives less than 200 miles a day and probably less than 100 miles a day. So if you have your car in your garage and you have a charger in your garage and you charge at night, then your typical day, you're not charging. You're charging on when you go on long trips, which, for me is less than once a month that I would need to charge. So, okay, so once a month, I got to stop a couple times and charge the car on the way somewhere, and it takes me an extra half hour on that trip. But I saved so much time by not having to go to the gas station in my routine daily life. In my daily driving, I used to, maybe I have to go to the gas station once a week or more, and now I don't have to go to the gas station anymore. I just charge in my garage. The amount of time you save by not having to go to a gas station in your daily life is so much more important than that occasional long trip. If you drive a lot of long trips, this matters more to you, but most of us don't. So, yeah, average person drives like 20 miles a day. Stitch, no, I do not own a Tesla yet. That is my greatest weakness. I have a reservation on Cybertruck. When I bought my last car, the Model 3 had just come on the market and it was not generally available and I couldn't get one. And I bought a Volkswagen Passat. I don't drive a lot of miles. This is another little thing I'll digress on. I drive probably less than 10,000 miles a year. It's not really that important for me to have a Tesla because I'm not polluting. And I have a very highly fuel efficient Volkswagen Passat. I get like pretty much 40 miles a gallon on my Passat. So I'm not putting that much CO2 in the atmosphere. I'm not burning that much fossil fuels. Somebody who's driving 25,000 miles a year in a big SUV, like my wife's car is a big SUV that gets terrible gas mileage. If somebody was driving that thing 25,000 miles a year, it would be really important to switch them into a Model Y. But we don't drive a lot of miles. We work from home. Our kids go to school 2 miles away. It's easy. Yeah, apartment dwellers is a bigger issue. Fast charging is a big issue for semi, yeah, but I don't think semi's as important as other people think. Maybe I'm wrong. So, I think I covered those digressions, and I talked about cell to pack. When you combine all that together, I do think cell to pack will be announced. That Tesla is going to be shifting its production to cell to pack. And then let's see, what do I have next here? What's my next topic? Future vehicles and products. Let me just see real quick. All right. Future vehicles and products. So this is the fun part of the video. I'm going to put my glasses on for this. This is the fun part of the video. We're going to switch to another thing here. Hope you all can still hear me. Looks good. So let's start with what I think is going to be announced at Battery Day. I'm totally stoked about this. I think we're going to see the 2021 Model S Plaid for sale. I think they're literally going to be making this for sale. I think the 2021 Model S Plaid will be for sale with the advanced battery pack in limited volume. I don't know if he's going to talk about full self-driving, but I think this is like this. This is going to be possibly the biggest announcement on Battery Day that matters to people. Something that you can touch and feel and will actually you'll see is the 2021 Model S Plaid. I'm guessing $120,000. Other people are speculating it's going to be $150,000. A 600-mile range and 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds, and probably a quarter mile in 9.5 seconds. I think this is going to blow everyone's socks off. I think it's going to be I think it's going to sell out. I think there's a really strong chance they're going to not only will they be taking orders for it, they're going to say we're already producing these things. I'm that optimistic that this is happening, that they're already producing sells in enough volume that they can actually sell Model S Plaid now. And that would be, excuse my French, but fucking amazing. And just for context, for people who don't know, the current Model S performance is 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds, and the range is below 400 miles for the performance model. I think I'm basing this on the idea that it's going to have a 340 watt hour per kilogram density. So that means the batteries, you'll be able to squeeze like 150 kilowatt hour pack into Model S Plaid. And you're increasing the pack size, the pack energy density by 50%. And then there's additional efficiencies with the Plaid powertrain, and that's why I think they get to 600. 600 might be optimistic, it might be 550, but I think it very well might be 600 tri-motor. And I said 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds because Roadster is supposed to be 1.9 seconds. And the increase from 2.3 to 2.1 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're at that level, that's actually a huge increase. So thank you, Chip. Yeah, I know, Aaron, the numbers can't be trusted, but I don't fill up my gas tank very much. So that's Model S Plaid. I think that's going to be the biggest shocking announcement. I don't think they're going to announce this other stuff. I did a video about this already, so I want to talk about this. Some future models that are enabled by all the changes we're going to hear at Battery Day. So I think I'm being almost a little pessimistic in saying that we're going to see a lithium iron phosphate Model 3 with a 280 mile range for under $30,000 in the 2022 model year. I think it could be the 2021 model year. I think it could be out before the end of 2021 that we're going to be able to buy in America and Canada, in America pricing, because currencies are different everywhere, that we're going to be able to pick up a 2022 Model 3 with lithium iron phosphate that will achieve 280 miles of range for under $30,000. I want to be clear about why. Lithium iron phosphate batteries cost less to make. The materials in them cost less. The energy density is lower, but with the improvements that they're making, and they're already going to have the Model 3 LFP in China this year. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that we could see a lithium iron phosphate Model 3 in the United States in 2022, and I think 2021 seems likely. Steven asked if I've ever been in a Tesla. I have a video. My neighbor had a Model 3 Performance, which I drove, and he now has a Model Y long range, which I have driven. I love them. I think some people treat the driving of a Tesla as a religious experience. I don't go that far. I like it. I think it drives good. I like driving my Volkswagen, honestly, and I had a Camaro. I don't think the driving experience becomes religious when you turn autopilot on. That's the holy shit moment. Okay, it's quick. I'm an old man now. I'm 54 years old. I don't drive for performance. I drive my Passat, and my Passat, I know the numbers might be fake, but my Passat tells me my average mileage. And I'm gaming the Passat to get the most mileage I can instead of driving as fast as I can. So I think the driving experience is important. But for me, it's never having to go to a gas station again. I actually need an oil change in my Passat, and I'm dreading it. Just the fact that I have to go out and go somewhere and get this done is such a hassle. You don't have to do that with a EV. So, sorry, I guess I'm getting sweaty. So, this is my prediction that we're going to see this either in 2021 or 2022. A Model 3 lithium iron phosphate with 280 miles of range for under $30,000. I don't think this is a stretch. This is without full self-driving, by the way. So I think this is coming. I think this is amazing. I'm totally stoked about it. Now the next one might be even more exciting for me. I think for people who are into luxury, this is even more exciting. What about a 2022 Model S lithium iron phosphate? The range drops to 350 miles instead of 400 miles. Maybe 300 mile range, 320 mile range, something like that. But you drop the price so much because lithium iron phosphate is so much less expensive than the 100 kilowatt hour nickel cobalt aluminum pack in a Model S. And I think you could literally, because it's already $75,000 for a Model S. And if you save that much money on the pack and you decontent it a little bit, do a couple other things, I think you could see a Model S lithium iron phosphate down to $60,000, and that just crushes. Currently, the Model S competes with the Mercedes S-Class and the BMW 7 Series. and maybe some higher end model, BMW 5 Series and Mercedes E-Class. This takes it down to competing with the mid-range 5 Series. It just demolishes BMW and Mercedes and the Lexus sedans. This is devastating to the luxury sedan market, and maybe something comparable for Model X. You could see a lithium iron phosphate version. I think this would be stunning. Yeah, occasional video says they might need a redesign. There might be a redesign coming. Jimmy, I'm getting a Cybertruck next year. Assad is going next year. I'm getting a Cybertruck. Yes, I do believe I made a video about Cybertruck batteries. I think Cybertruck low end and dual motor all-wheel drive will both be lithium iron phosphate because there's so much volume in a Cybertruck. So that's an interesting idea. I love that concept of the Model S lithium iron phosphate. So that was 2022. That's the short term. I love looking forward. I love saying what's coming in the farther in the future. What really amazing stuff could be coming. And this is sort of the why does this matter to us, right? Because we're people who want to own these vehicles. So how about 2025 Model 3 with the advanced battery pack? I want to stress this. I'm coming up on this in a minute, but advanced battery pack is not just about energy density. It's about being able to make more of them. Tesla is limited by the number of batteries they can produce or get. Tesla is limited by the number of batteries they can produce or get. And as they improve the initial runs of advanced battery pack, the lines are going to be slow. It's going to be a process of getting up to speed and how we can improve them. It's the machine that makes the machine. How can we make the machine that makes the battery better? How can we improve that? So there's going to be a process of a year or 2 or 3 where they're radically improving the manufacturing process for the advanced battery pack. And I don't think we're going to see advanced battery pack in a Model 3, maybe a performance model, but I don't think we're going to see the advanced battery pack widespread in the first couple of years. But as they improve production and they get the cost per kilowatt hour down and they get the energy density up, I think in 2025, which is after we've got the 400 watt hour per kilogram advanced battery pack produced in volume, you're going to see a Model 3. This is like mind-blowing stuff. This is mind-blowing stuff. A Model 3 with advanced battery pack and 400 miles of range for under $20,000. This is the cost of the battery production is going to be lower. We're going to have whole frame casting. There's manufacturing improvements. This might be a little optimistic. I don't think so. I think this is happening. I think this is going to be stunning. Yeah, and people say, well, they're not going to lower the prices. They've been lowering the prices. They're going to lower the prices because the goal is not to make profits off the cars. The goal is to get the FSD, get as many Robo Taxis on the road as possible, and make profits off the Robo Taxi network. Vustra asks, what version of Cybertruck will be getting? I put a reservation in on a dual motor, all-wheel drive with full self-driving. And I can't. I'm so excited about that Cybertruck. I'm like over the moon. Cybertruck, that's going to be my life. That's going to make my life better. That's my apocalypse truck. NYC Vegan, thank you for the contribution. An electric bike that goes 95 plus miles range at a cost of about $950 would be impressive, make billions of done in volume. Maybe. I think a pod car Robo Taxi is more important. That's a long conversation. Check out, I have a video called Pod Car Robo Taxi, a single passenger Robo Taxi. It would cost more, but I think it would do more and be safer. So an e-bike that goes 95 miles, I think maybe that's possible. I'd love to see it. So moving on from the Model 3 advanced battery pack, let's move on to another 2025 vehicle that I think could be coming. The 2025 Model S long-range advanced battery. You can tell, by the way, I like sedans. I didn't do the SUVs for these picks. I have them. I'm going to be making a video about this again, but I'm going to be making a video like this after Battery Day when I know more, to give much better representations of what I think the future vehicles are going to be. But the compact is coming. Camp Tesla, the compact is coming. That's the next slide. So Model S long range advanced battery pack in 2025 with a 600-mile range for $60,000. I don't see why this isn't possible, because you go advanced battery pack, you go to 340 watt hours per kilogram with not much other changes. You get to 400 watt hours per kilogram, then this might be a short range, and $60,000 because they've improved the manufacturing process and they've gotten costs down. And I think this is going to be unbelievable. Yes, Gork, I know it's premature. This is fun. James Knapp, your Cybertruck will be my wife's car. No, my wife says she doesn't want it. She doesn't want me to buy it, so she doesn't get to... First of all, maybe we'll get rid of both cars and just use the Cybertruck for both of us to save money. I don't know. I am totally stoked. Yeah, I got a lot of Tesla stock. It's ridiculous. I'm insane how much Tesla stock I have. So I think this is a real possibility, and this is a crusher to the luxury car market. Crusher. So the last car I'm going to talk about is everybody has seen, or most of people who are following Tesla have seen this talk that there's going to be a Chinese compact, and I think there's also talk about a European compact. So there's going to be some kind of compact Tesla that will be introduced. My guess is earlier than 2025. We're going to see a smaller 4-passenger vehicle that fits better on tighter European roads, and some of the Asian countries have tighter roads. So a 2025 compact vehicle that's narrower in profile and shorter in front to back, squeezes 4 people in. I think that's going to get a 300-mile range and cost $15,000. And I think that's going to blow people away. My wife is not using CyberQuad. No, that's not me. I don't want to talk about my wife that much, but that's not her. Below Zero asks, how much stock do you have? Do I have? I like to tell people that I own between 50 and 5,000 shares of Tesla stock. I own a lot for my, and I've told people before, it's 3/4 of my main IRA. I have a lot of other assets and I have other assets like the equity in my house, but it is 3/4 of my IRA. So it's insane. I should sell some, and I won't, because I just believe in Tesla too much. Not that I believe in it like love. I just think this is amazing. So this compact is a game changer, because you get the price of an EV. Oleg, thank you for your contribution. Much appreciated. If Tesla gets the entry price down to $20,000, the Model 3 to $15,000, you're starting to get in a range where you can sell this thing in India and sell it in high volume in India and China. I don't plan on driving cross-country anywhere. I do have an idea. That's an interesting question. I'm sorry, I'm going to go dark for a second. Eric asks, how can you talk about Tesla when never experiencing driving cross-country in a Tesla? What are you waiting for? Is that in your future plans? Not exactly. I have kind of a dark plan. I'm sorry to get dark for a second. One of the reasons I'm excited about Neurolink is, and this is way off on a digression, so I apologize for this, but you asked. My mother's not long for this world. I mean, she's not dying tomorrow, but sometime in the next few years, my mother's going to pass. And she wants to be buried in New York, in a gravesite in New York, where my father and my brother and my grandparents are buried, or her parents are buried. So if I can swing it, I want to transport her myself in the back of the Cybertruck, properly following all regulations, and take my Cybertruck and drive from South Florida to Westchester County, New York, and bury my mother there and drive home. I think that would be something cathartic. I don't know if that's the right word. That would. My mother has Alzheimer's. She barely knows who I am anymore. Physically, she's in reasonably good health, so she's not dropping tomorrow. But I do think that I have this image that that's going to be a special trip for me, to take my mother to where she wants to be laid to rest. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about that. To do that myself that way is sort of like an important thing for me personally. So let's move on. Enough dark stuff. That nobody wants to see that. Sorry. Maybe somebody wants to see that, but I don't want to see it. So, come on. Gotta get rid of this. Where's all this stuff doing? I got all this stuff in the way. Sorry. This is weird. Come on. There we go. I got Powerwall. No, that's me. This is harder than it looks. There we go. So the future product, I got to get better at this. Sorry, trying to be professional, and that wasn't it. Thank you, Rami, for your kind words. Thank you all for your kind words about my mom and me. So Powerwall. I mentioned this before when I was talking about lithium iron phosphate. There is no reason to use advanced battery pack, high energy density, expensive batteries in grid storage. I think we're going to see massive increase in the production of, thank you everybody for your kind words. She's not dead yet. So I think we're going to see massive increase in the production of lithium iron phosphate batteries for Tesla, maybe by Tesla. Maybe they're going to make their own. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And see that go into Powerwall. For people who don't know, The current Powerwall 2 is nickel cobalt. Well, I don't know what chemistry it is. It's reportedly nickel cobalt aluminum, but maybe nickel manganese cobalt or whatever. 13.5 kilowatt hours, and it's $6,000. I think we're going to see a larger. Thank you, Mitzo. I think we're going to see a larger battery pack in the Powerwall 3, maybe 15 kilowatt hours with lithium iron phosphate for only $4,500. I think some women like Cybertruck. I don't know about Arcimoto. I don't think Arcimoto is going to take off. Hyperchange loves Arcimoto. We'll see if he's right. I don't know. Tesla's greatest competitor. This is a great question. I want to address this. Physics with MR, Mr. V asks, who is Tesla's greatest competitor in your opinion? There is no competitor. Tesla's greatest challenge is producing enough batteries to be able to supply the demand. There is no competitor. I mean, the entire ICE vehicle market is the competitor. If you're going to make a Tesla Model 3 for $35,000, if you understand the 5-year total cost of ownership, it competes with a Toyota Camry, which is one of the largest volume vehicles in the world. So I guess arguably Toyota and Volkswagen are the largest sellers, but it's just a matter of improving the process and getting production up and getting costs down. And then I am hopeful that other manufacturers will come along and make enough vehicles so that we can get ICE vehicles off the road, clean the air. A little side note here, why this stuff matters. China is embracing EVs more than the United States, and people don't get why, and they're blaming Trump. There's a reason why China is embracing EVs, because it doesn't matter how rich and powerful you are, you still have to breathe the fucking air. No matter how rich and powerful you are, when you go outside, you're breathing the same fucking air as the poorest guy around. And the only way those rich bureaucrats and rich businessmen in China who control China and politicians, whoever, the only way they're going to be able to breathe cleaner air is if they stop putting out crap in the air. So they're invested in it themselves. They want cleaner air. So they're embracing Tesla because Tesla is delivering it. PowerPack has more than double the dollars. I didn't really come up with the dollars per kilowatt hour. I think PowerPack has a lot more technology in it than Powerwall. PowerPack has auto bidder and other technologies in it. But basically right now, if you look at the time, let me enlarge this. Maybe you can see it. The current PowerPack is 232 kilowatt hours and $172,000, and the Powerwall is $6,000 for 13.5 kilowatt hours. I just based it on that. They're going to be able to reduce the price of those things by a bit, and they're going to be able to increase the power that they store. I think that's what's coming with Powerwall and PowerPack, and I guess I can move on from that. And I think that was the last product, so let's move on to the next topic. Oh my God, this is so much fun. I'm learning. Okay, so we're moving on here to Panasonic. This is something I wanted to talk about, because there's been a lot of speculation that Panasonic's going to get dumped, that Tesla, once they start making their own batteries, they won't need Panasonic anymore. They've made deals with LG Chem. They've made deals with CATL. I don't really have any thought. A lot of people asking about NIO. I haven't thought about NIO yet. I hope they do well. So I want to be clear about this. Tesla is not dumping its relationship with Panasonic. Panasonic is making, excuse my French, but a shit ton of batteries that are going in Tesla vehicles, and they're productive and they're selling. Why would you stop doing something that's working? Tesla has basically an unlimited need for batteries, an unlimited demand. Just a quick tout for the Elon Fan Club merch down in the bottom of the description. So they're going to continue buying batteries from Panasonic. They're going to continue buying batteries from LG Chem. They're going to continue buying batteries from CATL, and they're going to start making their own batteries. There will always be a need for more batteries. More batteries in grid storage, more batteries in low-end vehicles, more batteries in high-end vehicles. Whatever these other companies can produce, Tesla can use them. LA smog was bad too, yeah. No, that's not, unfortunately, that's EVs aren't going to fix that, but, if you're riding around in a Model X or a Model S with the HEPA filter, then you're breathing cleaner air. And I do believe that storage is going to be huge. I don't think it's going to be huge for profit. I'm not talking about profit here. For people who follow this channel, I believe that the profit story is in Robo Taxi. That the production of more vehicles enables Robo Taxi. enables Robo Taxi profits to be bigger. But anyway, just to stay on this topic for a second, just to be clear, Panasonic, LG Chem, CATL, if somebody else comes along who can supply batteries to Tesla in volume so that they can make more vehicles to satisfy more market demand for the vehicles, so they can make more grid storage, so they can supply more market demand for grid storage, they're going to buy every battery they can get from anybody who can make them. So, what else do I got here? Let's see. Okay, I left out a couple things in the original outline. I wanted to add them. I think Panasonic, LG Chem, and CATL was one of the things I left out. So let's talk about manufacturing speed and cost. This is another really important part of Battery Day that I probably should have covered earlier in the talk, but when I was redoing the outline for this, I left it here. Currently, Tesla is able, or Panasonic really, is able to produce batteries at a certain velocity. It's able to produce a certain number and volume of batteries and kilowatt hours in a certain period of time. And one of the really important things about Battery Day is increasing manufacturing speed and reducing cost per kilowatt hour. If they can produce more batteries at lower cost, they can produce more kilowatt hours per kilo. All these things are improvements. So improving manufacturing speed so they can make more batteries means they can make more vehicles. They're working on improvements. This is going to come up, I believe, at Battery Day. They're working on improvements to how they make Model Y, which I believe is going to be the biggest seller. I think without question, Model Y is going to be the biggest seller in the near term. I think Compact will be a bigger seller eventually. But so if they're going to spool up the speed that they produce the Model Y, they need to spool up the speed at which they produce the batteries. And they're probably going to eventually spool up the speed that they produce the Model 3. So they need to produce more batteries, more batteries, more batteries, more batteries. So one of the critical elements, and I think Elon has at least hinted at this, is the manufacturing speed is going to go up like insane. I think this is going to be the insane thing, is the speed of battery. Like, you're going to need a strobe light to see the things moving because it's just going to be a blur. Oh, HEPA? It's HEPA filter, not HEPA filter? Okay. I'd love to see them talk about HVAC. I'm actually going to mention Tesla HVAC in a coming video. But I think this issue of manufacturing speed, there's a lot of things that go into this. If you can produce more batteries out of a given space, then the CapEx, the capital expenditure to build that factory, spread across the number of batteries you produce, gets reduced. So that lowers the cost per kilowatt hour. It lowers the cost per cell. It lowers the cost per pack. It lowers the cost of vehicles. I don't know what United Freedom is talking about there, but I'm going to let your comment go. Manufacturing speed, if they can increase speed, it means they can increase the amount of batteries they produce. If they can increase the speed in the space that they're using, they reduce the amount of capital that goes in. If they can get more efficient in producing batteries, then they can lower the cost per kilowatt hour, lower the cost of vehicles, and all these things come together. Upzar, I don't think the cheaper Compact is going to be announced yet. I think that's down the road. Roadrunner cartoon, interesting. I love it. All right, so let me see. I think, is that the last thing? Okay, so I'm going to put my glasses on now, and I'm going to pay more attention to you. So, and patrons in particular, if you're a patron, please, you know what to do. I want to thank my patrons. I'm on Patreon. There's a link in the description below this video for Patreon. Anybody who wants to support this channel, it's greatly appreciated. Buy the merch, that's also down there. Share the videos, tell your friends. Please, by the way, please thumbs up my videos. I think YouTube actually cares to see more thumbs up versus thumbs down. I don't know why they care. I think they should, my ratio, on bad videos is 10 to 1 thumbs up. What exactly is Roadrunner? I think Roadrunner is the advanced battery pack process, that's a great question. I believe Roadrunner is a reference to producing the batteries faster. And that's the name of the project that's at Cato Road in Fremont. Let's see, you did well, Warren. What do you think will be some live streams from? I think that Battery Day itself will be live streamed. I think a lot of other channels are going to be talking about it. And I am planning to make a video I'm going to be recording the Battery Day, and I'm going to make a video as soon as I can right after that. I've been invited to do a live stream conversation that evening. So there's going to be a lot of people talking about Battery Day after. Puneet, yes, the idea is to leverage robo taxis to enhance FSD, and the idea is that robo taxis are going to generate massive, massive revenue and profit. Like crazy, crazy profit. Do I think Tesla will have a plant in Australia? I think it's possible. I don't think the demand is high enough in Australia to satisfy that. I don't think it makes sense for Australia. I think Japan or Korea would be possible. What is Project Phoenix? I don't know what Project Phoenix is. Personal number of vehicle projections. So 2021, I project Tesla will produce 1.5 million vehicles. 2022, I project Tesla will produce 2.5 to 3 million vehicles. I think that we're going to see massive increases in the rate of production of vehicles in Tesla Berlin, Giga Berlin, Giga Austin, and Giga Shanghai, and then Fremont's going to follow. And I think somewhere down the road, we're going to see a Giga in the eastern United States. I'm not sure where else. Let's see. I'm sorry, the questions are coming fast. I'm doing the best I can. Yes, please smash the like button. Please subscribe. All of that. Thank you. How to avoid the Osborne effect? I think the Osborne effect is real, but I think the demand is so high that the Osborne effect doesn't matter. I am part of the Osborne effect. I am waiting on my Cybertruck. If Cybertruck wasn't coming, I would have bought a Model Y by now. I am it. I see it. But Tesla sells every vehicle they make anyway, so the Osborne effect doesn't matter. It only matters if they can't sell every vehicle they make, and they can't make enough vehicles. Tesla motorbike, I don't think so. Giga Japan, I think Giga Japan is coming. I don't know. So people who don't know, I lived in Japan for a year. I speak Japanese. Watashi wa Nihongo ga skoshi dekimasu. Nihongo ga daisuki desu, Nihon ga daisuki desu. I just said a bunch of Japanese stuff that basically means I love Japan and I like Japan. I like speaking Japanese. Japan is wonderful. If you've ever seen the Japanese director Juzo Itami, or Itami Juzo, the movie Tom Popo is his most famous. A Taxing Woman, Family Game. These are brilliant, brilliant movies. My kids love Miyazaki anime movies. So I just love Japan. Japan is a very difficult market because the government is probably not favorable to Tesla opening a factory there, but China let Tesla open a factory in China. So, and same thing with Korea. I think South Korea would be a great place for a gigafactory. They're already buying batteries from LG Chem. Maybe LG Chem would say, yeah, let's bring it. Panasonic might want Tesla to open in Japan. I think those are possible. And Japan has a big enough market that it could support the demand for Tesla vehicles. Lucid gravity is a joke. What's going to happen to stock price? I do not like making short-term stock price predictions. I think that the stock price is going to go insanely high in the long term. Somebody said Japan is racist. I don't think so. Hi, Genki desu. I think Japan is a very interesting country, and I love it. I absolutely love Japan. Maybe they're like, we're all, what's that song from, what's the show? Avenue Q. Everyone's a little bit racist. Japan, I lived in Japan for a year and I felt very welcome. Did I encounter racism against white people? Yes. But Giga India, Eric says, India is a real big challenge for Tesla. There's not a big demand for vehicles. I think my cyber van concept, if you check my channel, I have a video, cyber van or minibus, Tesla minibus. I have a video where I talk about that. I think that could be really big in India. India is just too poor, and their government is very, very difficult. Somebody just typed something in Japanese and went by the screen too fast. So whatever you typed in Japanese, type it again, I'll see it. I don't think India works. I think that they don't, the sales of vehicles that are anywhere close to what Teslas cost, even the compact, are tiny. It just doesn't make sense. Dareka nihongo da nanika kaita. Mou ichido kaite kudasai. Somebody wrote something in Japanese. Please write it again and I'll respond to it. It went by too fast. So no on India. How old are you? I'm 54 years old. I think I knew about Tesla early. I've been using PayPal as a business thing for a long time, so I knew who Elon Musk was from the beginning. I didn't really get into Tesla until a few years ago. People saying negative things about it. Be positive. Let's be nice. Come on. Japan's not racist. We're all racist. We're just racist in different ways, and it means different things. Wonderful country, Japan. India is a challenge for every country. I totally agree with that. I'm 54 years old. What intrigues me the most about Tesla is it never occurred to me how amazing an electric vehicle could be, and I see it radically. I think what intrigues me most is Robo Taxi. Full self-driving Robo Taxi is just going to radically change the world. Nihon mo ga daisuki desu yo. Yeah. Thank you, Norm. Me too. Nihon mo daisuki desu. Thank you, 360 grad. Yes, I love Japan. So check back. I have a couple videos where I talk about the future of self-driving and Robo Taxi. We're not going to bother buying cars anymore, most of us. You're going to have you're going to have an app on your phone, and you're going to tap, I need a ride, and a vehicle's going to be at the front door by the time you come out of the house. No way in New York City, champ. No way there'll be a gigafactory in New York City. Not a chance. No. South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, no way it's going to be in New York. No way it's going to be in Massachusetts. New Hampshire, maybe. That's a business-friendly state. I do think that the gigafactories will produce a lot more than people realize. Thank you, Jan. I did notice this is a big video. It's doing really well. Model S, there's a lot of people talking about a new Model S. I think it could happen. I think there could be huge potential for Model S to watashi wa baka. I don't think so, Mark. I don't think you're baka. Baka means stupid for people who don't know. I do think a radical redesign of Tesla Model S and X could happen soon. Not just for the luxury buyer, but can they get the manufacturing costs down and the volumes up so that they can make that high-end luxury experience cost a lot less and deliver that, like I said earlier in the video, deliver it for $60,000. I think that would be amazing. Let's see, North Carolina. I think North Carolina is a big possibility for Gigafactory. I talked about future vehicles earlier in the video, Siop, and I'm going to make a new video about it, and it's in one of my recent videos. Thank you for the subscription. Yeah, people who say Japan is racist, I mean, are they racist? Sure. I mean, it's built into the language. Gaijin is foreign person. Hakujin is white person. I think Kurojin is black. Yeah, they're racist against Koreans. There's a lot of subtle racism, but go to Japan and visit. It's an incredibly friendly, wonderful country. Great. Is there going to be a bad moment? Sure, but it's a wonderful country. Great place to be. I want to go back to Japan badly. Let's see. Model S on Cybertruck platform. I don't think so, but I don't hate that. Shaka Zulo man says Model S on Cybertruck platform. God, I like that idea. I never thought of that. I love that idea. I love that. New York City, and no, they're not business friendly. No, they're terrible. Oh my God, I'm from New York. The taxes, the regulations, the hassles. Oh my God, no, nobody wants to be there anymore. Tiny pickup truck, maybe. Do I think Elon will announce a partnership with Giga Metals? I don't know enough about that. Giga Europe is German. Let's see, Hiroshima Go-Karts. I love the Hiroshima Carps. I love Sumo. I think everybody's racist. Why do people keep asking this? Let's move on. I'm not going to talk about the racism stuff anymore. I think it's just dumb. I think it's worth talking about. Each added, she said, except in the group. Japan is very in-group, out-group. Oh, that's good. Hello? Is everyone here? Yeah, I agree. I'm too distracted on Japan. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Because YouTube is telling me you can't hear me. This thing on? How are we doing? Can you guys see me? YouTube was telling me I lost my signal, so I can't tell. I think we're working. You're good? You can hear me? Okay, we'll keep going then. Thank you. Wow, that's a lot of yeses. I'm getting a weird thing with my computer. YouTube is telling me something weird, but you guys are telling me you can hear me, so let's see. Giga Boca. No, I don't think there's going to be a Gigafactory in Boca. I would love to see one in North Florida. New Model Y design on battery day. I think he's going to talk about the manufacturing process for Model Y, and I think there'll be some changes in design, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, that's weird. I've got an image saying if playback doesn't begin shortly, try restarting your device. That's really freaky. Okay, so Model 2 on battery day. No, I don't think so. When do you think the first Terafactory will open? I think that Giga Austin and Giga Berlin and Giga Shanghai are all going to be Terafactories. I don't think they're going to open. I think they're going to become Terafactories. I think they're going to be producing in such high volume that we'll consider them Terafactories. I don't really have an opinion. I think nickel is probably a joke, but I'm not qualified to answer that. I just never got interested. People ask me about nickel a lot. I never got interested enough in Nikola to care. I don't know why people have cared so much about Nikola. You know, maybe they're going to make a semi, maybe they're going to make a pickup truck. It's going to be a long time. Tesla airplane, great question. Elon said they're not going to do an airplane. So I'm going to believe Elon until he changes his mind. Customizing a Tesla purchase to add extra range. That's a great question. Somebody asked, will Tesla allow customizing at a purchase to add extra range? I believe that we are going to see that with Cybertruck at least. And I mentioned that we're going to see like low-end models with lithium iron phosphate packs that will cost less. And I think there will be an option to upgrade to nickel cobalt aluminum pack, and it'll be clear that this is how much range you're getting for this is how much money. I think that definitely with Cybertruck, I think the single motor Cybertruck will have a lithium iron phosphate battery pack and maybe an option to go to a longer range battery pack that'll be, $5,000 or $10,000 extra, and you get an extra 50 or 100 miles of range. Same thing with dual motor. I think once you get to tri-motor is just going to have advanced battery pack. But I think it makes a lot of sense. I think they can get 300 miles of range in a Cybertruck with lithium iron phosphate, and that keeps the cost down. And then if they go to nickel cobalt aluminum in Cybertruck, they can get a lot more range, but it would just cost more. So they want to preserve nickel for the more advanced uses. So if you're willing to pay for it, they'll give it to you. I think that's what's going to happen. When will full FSD come out? I believe that FSD will be, this is a good question I'm going to address right now. Somebody asked, CM asked, when will full FSD come out? So the full FSD hardware is in the car now. Feature complete software will be in the cars by the end of the year. Feature complete means it will be capable of everything, but might not be good at it all. You can have it do anything anywhere, but it might not be that good at it yet, and you're going to have to continue supervising it for several months, if not a year. About a year from when Feature Complete appears in cars, somewhere in the world, either China or Florida or somewhere else, we're going to see Robo Taxi networks start. As in no driver in the car, cars driving on their own. I think we're going to see that happen by the end of 2021. I think it's going to be in Florida. I think it's going to be in China. I like to make fun of Florida where I live because, let's be honest, we're the land of Florida, man. So I think we're going to see, yes, there's videos of Teslas doing okay in roundabouts and they're getting better at it. Giga North Korea. So I think that Robotaxi is the biggest thing in Tesla, because a vehicle that drives you around for a couple hours a day can all of a sudden drive people around for 10 hours a day or more. It 5x, and the vehicle, when you combine that with the million-mile life, having a million-mile vehicle doesn't really matter if you're going to drive 20,000 miles a year. You're not going to keep the vehicle for 50 years. The million-mile battery matters if you're going to be driving the vehicle 100,000 miles a year, but none of us drives that much. So it only matters if the Robotaxi is driving 100,000 miles a year, because it's doing, it's driving 200 miles, stops to charge in the middle of the day, drives 200 more miles, 400 miles a day times 365 days, you're getting over 100,000 miles a year out of the vehicle. That's why Robotaxi matters. And that means we need fewer cars overall. This is the big thing. We want to get ICE vehicles out of the way. We want to get internal combustion vehicles out of the way. One Robotaxi replaces at least 5 ICE vehicles. So if Tesla can make 1 million vehicles, it replaced 5 million ICE vehicles. And within a couple years, Tesla's going to be making 3 million vehicles, replacing 15 million ICE vehicles. We're going to shift, and the air is going to be cleaner in China in particular. The air is going to be cleaner everywhere. If I'm passionate about anything, I am passionate about Robotaxi revolutionizing transportation. Just absolute mind-boggling, holy shit, this is going to change the world. That, going to Mars, and Neurolink are like the 3 holy shit stuff that's going to happen that is changing our world. People cannot grasp how amazing Robotaxi is going to be. I didn't realize we're going to talk about Robotaxi, but let me talk about Cybervan. I have a video, check my channel, there's a video, Cybervan, Tesla mini bus, whatever. It's probably a few weeks ago now, maybe a month ago. Imagine Cybertruck size, as in length and width, but designed solely for passengers, and it holds 20 passengers in the United States, and in poorer countries where people are smaller and don't mind being crammed in, 30 passengers. the cost per passenger mile drops below a penny. You can go 500 miles for $5. So for me, look, I'm unabashedly not poor, arguably wealthy. Where I live in Boca Raton, Florida, I'm like middle class. I live in a neighborhood, it's comical because I live in a 3,200-foot palace with a swimming pool and a lake view. And I told the mom of my daughter's friend where I lived, and she said, "Oh, why did you choose to live there?" She was like stunned that I would live in such a poor neighborhood in a house that's worth $600,000 with a 33-car garage and a 20,000-gallon swimming pool. I mean, I live in the lap of luxury here, right? So for me, Cybervan is not attractive, right? I'm not planning to cram myself in a vehicle with 20 other people to go on a ride. But Robo Taxi, to be able to hop in a car, I envision pod car. I'm not ruling out Cybervan. Maybe you make it a party van, then it'll be fun. But the ability to travel very long distances at 120 or 150 miles an hour, very, very cheap, is compelling. It's like, I think people just can't grasp how amazing this can be. And the simplest way I can put it is I live in South Florida, near Miami, near Fort Lauderdale. And from where I live in Boca Raton, West Palm Beach is also close. From where I live in Boca Raton, a lot of people go to Disney World. Disney World is a very popular destination for people all over the world. Imagine, so right now it's a 3-hour drive, assuming there's no traffic. 3-hour drive. I got to park somewhere. Disney has free parking if you're going into Disney. I got to get a hotel because I'm not driving home that night. And I personally, by the way, I'm not a Disney guy myself. People like it. So, sorry, I got to approve a couple comments that I'm missing here. So, imagine that trip is now a half hour or 20 minutes. And instead of me having to spend $50 on gas and depreciation on my car and all this other stuff, it cost me $10. And instead of having to stay in a hotel and spend a couple $100 a night on a hotel, I just get in the Cybervan and ride home in the tunnel, in the Boring Company tunnel, and I'm home in a half hour. I'm not going to bother staying in a hotel. It's going to kill the hotel industry around Disney, but it's going to blow up the opportunities for Disney and Universal Studios, any destination resort. Anything that's like a destination that people want to go and do stuff that's fun. These golf, I don't know if any of you have seen these. There's these golf places where they have like 3 or 4 levels of platforms where you hit golf balls out and you have these targets out there. There's and those things are amazing. I see so many opportunities for recreational destinations that will be just spectacular. And that's just one example. I want to go to New York. I don't have to get in a plane anymore. I got in a hyperloop or a loop. Even if it's only 150 miles an hour, if it's relaxing, I just sleep for the night and I'm there in 10 hours. The potential for how this is going to and it's going to destroy the airline industry because short-haul air travel is out. No one's going to fly in a plane when you can take a Robo Taxi and get there for less money in the same amount of time. If I'm going to fly people fly from here to Tampa now. Nobody's going to fly to Tampa anymore. People complain all the time about trying to fly to Tallahassee. Tallahassee's a terrible air setup. Go to the strip club and back before wife comes home. Very nice idea. Thank you. Sorry, do you hear Tesla partner with a smartwatch manufacturer? I did not hear that. CATL LFP packs were rumored 66 to 68 kilowatt hours, so around 20% more energy dense. They don't need as much cooling or as much bigger in the pack. Altogether, it adds up to close to... Yes, I think that CATL LFP packs, combining improvements in the chemistry and the manufacturing of the cells and the cell to pack, I think they're going to get to 300 miles or close to it. Have you ever been to South Africa? I've never been to South Africa. I've been to Europe and Asia. I've been to South Korea, Japan, and Europe, and Canada, and Mexico, and the Caribbean. Where do I see Neurolink in 5 years? Great question. I love Neurolink. I'm fascinated by Neurolink. I think the next 5 years are going to be developmental and starting to cure blindness and paralysis. And in 10 years, I expect to have Neurolink in my brain to back me up before I'm expecting Alzheimer's to hit me in about 20 years. So I want a Neuralink in my brain in 10 years.
Yes, I do think that it could lead to immortality. I don't think it's 100 years away. I think it's 20 years away. Raise cost of EV. I'm optimistic, but
this is critical enthusiasm, right? A critical thinking, but I'm enthusiastic as hell.
Tunnel to Hawaii. I don't know if that would work. That's a great idea. Giga North Africa. I don't think there's enough demand in Africa for Tesla vehicles yet. Maybe for Cybervan.
Maybe Cybervan is something because of the low cost per mile that could work in Africa, that could work in Brazil, that could work in India. Maybe Giga Brazil, by the way. We didn't talk about that. Maybe just regular Giga Brazil. I don't think Elon's going to stop making vehicles. I think he's going to stop selling them. I think that the cost of a vehicle with Robo Taxi capability will be over $100,000 and no one will buy them. Second Gigafactory in China. Yes, I think they're planning a Gigafactory inland China. Quantum battery, I don't know anything about. Giga Metals, maybe. Price target for Tesla. I have a video earlier in my channel where I talk about where I think Tesla's going, but I don't do short-term price targets. Do I think Elon will talk about the semi-truck at Battery Day? Yes. I think that's a primary reason for the advanced battery pack. I think Semi is going into production, and that will be something that will be discussed. Turmeric. I eat Indian food. I love Indian food, and that has turmeric in it. The corrupt leaders of Africa could use a Cybertruck. Yeah, I don't think there's enough demand. I don't think there's enough corrupt leaders to buy enough Cybertrucks. Immortality meaning stopping the loss of information. I think immortality meaning not only stopping the loss of information, but allowing us to continue to grow. Tesla new car, they are from 1800s. Will China politics incite China to retaliate against Tesla? No. I don't think Chinese politics is a problem at all. I think American politics is the problem. I'm going to say this. I'm sorry. I'll slip in a little libertarianism here for a second. I see people complaining about Russia and China and all this other stuff. The greatest threat to the American people has always been in Washington, D.C. Before it was in London, and now it's in Washington, D.C. for 200 years or more. That's the greatest threat. That's the greatest threat to the improvements that we are seeing Tesla deliver, SpaceX, Neurolink, Boring Company. The greatest threat to all these improvements to our lives are people like Robert Reich and Bernie Sanders. And I like some of the things Bernie says, okay? But why the Democratic Party is making war on Elon Musk is just baffling to me. It is baffling to me. Why Joe Biden did a Chevy commercial for an ad is baffling to me. And the Republicans are just as bad. They're just as bad. It's not as obvious right now, but they're just as bad. They're both parties are wrecking the country. China isn't perfect. They got huge human rights issues in China. But the people who run China want clean air because they have to breathe it. And they're not going to let their politics get in the way of Elon delivering them cleaner air. Elon is going to make their air cleaner, and they know it. They get it. They want to breathe cleaner air. Will charging the battery get quicker? I do believe they're going to improve charge rates. Especially, I think the advanced battery pack will allow higher charge rates and discharge rates with maintaining cycle life. I'm not sure how much, and I personally don't think it's important, but I do think it's going to happen. I think a lot of customers think it's going to happen. Yeah, chicken. We have a great Indian restaurant in Coral Springs called Arun's Indian Kitchen. If anybody's in South Florida, Arun's Indian Kitchen. Wow, great Indian food. Mandated laws in Tesla's success. I think that I'm not confident that the way, let's say, the Green New Deal would mandate improvements. I think that the focus on socialism in the Green New Deal is a greater danger to Tesla's success than the emphasis on electric vehicles. Do I want a fascist for president? No, I want a libertarian for president. I think they're both fascists. You think one's a fascist? I think Biden and Trump are both fascists and socialists. So, I'm a crazy libertarian. You don't want to know my political views. That's not why you came. So, if you ask me, I'll get in there. Greatest that. There's a lot of great people think America is the greatest country on earth because they've never been anywhere else. I think America is a great. I live here. I love being here. There's a lot of great stuff about being in America. Right now, 2020 hasn't been the greatest year. The name of the Indian restaurant in South Florida is Arun's, A-R-U-N, Arun's Indian Kitchen. Kitchen is spelled without the T for some reason. It's on Sample Road in Coral Springs. It is the best Indian food I've ever had, and I've had some great Indian food in my life. Love the guy, love the food. Right now it's takeout only because of COVID. Just absolutely spectacular. I literally go there and I buy 3 times as much food and stick 2/3 of it in the freezer. That's how good it is. It's just absolutely stunning how good it is. And it's not expensive. It's reasonably priced. It's cheaper than most Indian restaurants. Fantastic. Trump is good for business. I'm not going to say nice things about Trump. He's done some good things, but no. Is Lucid Air outsmarting Tesla? That was early in the video. If you go back to the video, I talked about Lucid. I think this is an opinion. This is not fact. I think Lucid Air is a fraud. Let me talk a little bit more about that. The claims they made in their video are not credible. The size of the claim that they've got 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that there's a lot of fluff there. I think that they are trying to float this ruse long enough that they can get more funding so that they can try to implement some of the things. A simple question, if anybody believes in Lucid, I ask you a simple question. Why do you think Lucid has better engineers than Porsche? Porsche delivered the Taycan. They put a huge amount of resources in delivering the Taycan. They managed 200 miles of range. Why do you think Lucid is better at this stuff than Porsche? And don't tell me because they've got Tesla people, because Porsche could hire Tesla people. That ain't it. I want it to be true. I want it to be true. I want more EVs made. I don't buy it. I think they're floating this in even their Silicon Valley thing's a lie. Newark, California is not in Silicon Valley. It's the other side of the bay. It just lies. I want it to be true. I want it to be that they're just optimistically making projections and they're really going to deliver. I don't think they have the funding to deliver what they've said, and they're going to be making a pitch they're going to try to get Volkswagen to buy them out or something. I don't know what it's going to be. Would libertarians even have a president? Depends on the libertarian. If you understand the constitutional role of president, which is to preside and not control, then yes, libertarians might have a president. If you think the president's job is to bomb, 8 countries and keep troops in 170 countries, then no. Yeah, butter chicken, they have that. I'm not sure if they have butter chicken. I don't remember seeing that on the menu, but they have something close to it. Porsche has the burden of having also. No, I don't think Porsche's burdens are that bad. They really went all in on the Taycan, and that's the best they could do. And Lucid doesn't have better engineers than Porsche. Do you think they'll add the new batteries to the 3 and why? I think. Okay, let me talk about this for a second because I want to get back into the fundamentals of this talk. Something that I talk about, I feel like nobody else talks about, is one of the fundamental things with Tesla is it's not one battery. It is a menu of batteries for different applications. So you are going to see lithium iron phosphate in Model 3, Model Y, and Cybertruck, and maybe Model S and Model X. You're going to see low-cost versions of all these vehicles using lithium iron phosphate because it is lower cost and because using those batteries leaves nickel available for other uses. We're going to see nickel, cobalt, aluminum continue to exist. With slight improvements, it will be better in terms of energy density than lithium iron phosphate. It will cost more than lithium iron phosphate, and it won't be as good as advanced battery pack. So that's going to be the intermediate range battery, and that's going to be in a lot of vehicles. And we're going to see the advanced battery pack, which I don't think I got. I think it's going to be nickel, manganese, cobalt 811, but it might be a higher nickel version of nickel, cobalt, aluminum. I think that is the advanced battery. And it's a total, I'm guessing. I mean, I think I have reasons why I'm going there, but I think we're going to see that in the advanced battery pack. And that's going to start in the high-end vehicles like Roadster and Plaid and Semi and Tri-Motor Cybertruck. I think it will work its way down to the Model 3 and Model Y performance versions. And then over time, the goal is to massively increase the rate of production. And as advanced battery pack gets produced in higher and higher volumes, I think it will spread to other vehicles. And it's going to increase in energy density further. I talked about that earlier in the advanced battery pack section of the video, which you should be able to scroll back to. I haven't seen anything about a virtual viewing code for Battery Day. I don't think that's true. I think Battery Day is going to be streamed live on YouTube. I would be surprised if you needed a viewing code for that. I am a shareholder, so if I can get one, I will, but I don't think that's true. It's good to have different chemistries so that when there's a shortage of one metal, they use another, or material, they use another. Yes, I just think it makes sense.
There's reasons why, and then don't forget, I forgot storage. Grid storage also will use lithium iron phosphate. Will use the less expensive chemistries, except there may be, I don't want to rule this out, it may be that there are grid storage uses that require higher energy density or higher performance characteristics in some ways that would mean they wouldn't use lithium iron phosphate. Maybe that's going to happen. Gordon Johnson said everybody can buy batteries from CATL, so what's the advantage for Tesla? Yeah, okay, good luck with that. We'll see if that happens. I don't think that's true. I think Tesla has long-term contracts to buy huge volumes from CATL, and Tesla's going to buy as much as CATL can make, and CATL is going to sell to the people who are going to buy the most from them. So, how many volume, what vehicle is going to be produced in enough volume to be competitive with CATL to get their batteries bought from? I don't see so. Boeing will be bought by Tesla. No way. Boeing is going to die. Boeing is dead. Airlines are dead. Airplane manufacturers are dead. Robo Taxi, all these industries are going to get clobbered. Optional batteries if you want longer. I mentioned this earlier in the Q&A. I think that there will be options to add additional batteries depending on the vehicle you're buying. Plaid will jam Fords. I don't know what that is. According to Tesla's website, you need a code. I'll check that. I'll find out about that. I hope that's not true. I want a cyber. I think people are going to be streaming it. No, that's not true. I'm going to be really upset if that's true. Tesla made some claims about massive changes in the anode design of their new batteries. Did any of that work out? We're going to find out, Marco. I believe that they're doing silicon in the anode. And they're going to be adding some silicon in the anode to increase the capacity of the anode. Tesla car insurance. Good question. So a lot of people have asked me about Tesla car insurance. Tesla car insurance is important in the short term. I believe it's not important in the long term. It's important in the short term because Tesla gets a lot more data about how you drive and can price your insurance based on that data, better data than anybody else has. And when you're using Robo Taxi, you're not really liable, so they can charge you less while you're using Robo Taxi or charge you basically nothing while you're using Robo Taxi. Because if there's an accident while Robo Taxi is active, it's on them, not you anyway. When Robo Taxi becomes prevalent, insurance becomes irrelevant because they're not going to have accidents or they're going to be so rare that it's going to be trivial. Yeah, I think the code is for shareholders to vote, and I don't think that's true. Are you saying Gordon Johnson was in the chat? I don't believe that. Really? I'm going to have to go back and watch this. I think Tesla insurance will spread to all states eventually. That's probably one of my dream jobs is if Tesla contacted me to help with implementing Tesla insurance in Florida. Because I am an attorney. I'm a personal injury attorney and very low volume, like retiring from it. But thoughts on Hyliion as an EV competitor? I don't know anything about Hyliion. Tesla plus Hyperloop plus Boring Company plus VTOL plus Earth-to-Earth rockets, all connected via Starlink, planetary transportation. I made a video about that. Ahmad Dan's chat. I made a video about that. I think that Tesla and Loop and Hyperloop and Boring Company enabling Loop and Hyperloop and SpaceX point-to-point Starship rockets, all of that is going to wipe out all other forms of most other forms of transportation on Earth. Short transportation, we're going to be in robo taxis or robo vans or whatever, robo buses, and long distance, very long distance, we'll take Starship, and medium distance, we'll take Hyperloop, and no one's going to want to get in a plane anymore. Let's see. Global penetration 2025. I think I have a video where I talk about go down to my video, one of my most popular videos. I talk about my model for how many vehicles I think Tesla will produce. And I think you get out to 2025, I think I had maybe 5 million vehicles produced. But I think it's when you get out to 2030, it's insane. I don't know that much about solid state batteries. I'm not comfortable talking about it. I think it's coming, but it's like nuclear fusion power. It's always 10 years away. He has a plan for an electric plane, but he said in the Third Row Tesla podcast, Elon said that doing an electric plane would be too complicated because there's so many different jurisdictions and they just don't have the bandwidth to do it. They're doing so much already. Elon is stretched to the limit. I don't think he's going to do a VTOL. Maybe he'll license his idea to someone else to do it. Virtual power plant rumors. I think virtual power plant is not a rumor. It's real. It's just, how long will it take to spool that up and how will it work? I think there's a virtual power plant in Australia already. I have sold, somebody mentions dumping Boeing stock. I sold my stock in Honda, even though I love Honda. I sold my stock in Southwest Airlines. I think they're dead. I think their future prospects are shot in 5 or 10 years. An opinion. Why is Bernie Sanders always attacking Elon Musk? Because he hates success. I love Bernie for foreign policy issues, and the drug war, but I hate him for his economics. Apple EV cars soon. I think Apple EVs are a rumor. Starlink is coming. Starlink is going to be fantastic. I will have Starlink in about a year. I am so excited about Starlink. That's going to be amazing. One of my upcoming videos, I bought an acre of land in the middle of nowhere in Florida, and I'm going to build a cyber cabin. In my dreams, I'm going to use a ring from Starship as the outer walls of the cabin, maybe stack it too high, and put Tesla solar panels on the roof, and put Tesla HVAC on it, and park my Cybertruck there, and it's going to be spectacular. So, yeah, let's see. Do I think places like Hawaii and Australia? No, I think they'll gain tourism because of Hyperloop. I think Hyperloop will get people to Hawaii and Australia. Honda has deal already with CATL, maybe, but it's a low volume deal. Anybody has a deal with CATL, it's a low volume because they don't know if they're going to be able to produce enough batteries to be able to do it. Do you need Starlink? No. There might be a Starlink IPO down the road, but that's a way down the road. Elon didn't like that. I think Starlink might be available in Canada already in beta. Somebody asked about whether Starlink will be available in Canada next year. I think it's already in beta in Canada. What will the Battery Day speculators talk about after Battery Day? Good question. Robo Taxi. And Mars. Starlink and Tesla cars. Elon said cars do not need the bandwidth of Starlink. Starlink is too much bandwidth. The car won't use it. Maybe in Cybervan, certainly, anything carrying a large number of people, maybe. But, something... Regular cell phone networks are fine for cars. Cars don't need that much bandwidth. And Starlink will not have the capacity to serve everyone. There's a limit to how much Starlink can do, I think. Best way to view Battery Day, I don't know. I think it's going to be on the Tesla YouTube channel. That's how I'm planning on watching it. How will the Hyperloop get anywhere? Boring company will bore tunnels under the earth, under the oceans to get so that Hyperloop can go wherever. Starlink's real purpose to give in. Let's see. Hyperloop in Dubai first. I don't think it's a question of Hyperloop in places. I think loops first, Hyperloops later. Loops will allow vehicles to travel 150 miles an hour from place to place very efficiently. It's going to be in Vegas. Watch Las Vegas. If you're interested in the Boring Company, if you're interested in Loop and eventually Hyperloop, watch what's happening in Las Vegas. Watch what's happening at the Ontario, California airport. This is going to be amazing. And follow a channel, Boring Revolution. Boring Revolution is a great channel for following Boring Company, and that's going to lead right into loops and hyperloops. I believe that Starlink's beta is north of Seattle. I think all of Canada is north of Seattle. I could be wrong about the geography, but pretty much all of Canada is north of Seattle. I'm not going to live stream the Battery Day event. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to record it, and I'm going to make a summary video after. What is Project? I've heard about Project Palladium. I've heard that it's a redesign of the Model S and X, but I don't know anymore. I think they've kept that secret. And this, by the way, I think the idea of Tesla VTOL, of a vertical takeoff and landing electric jet, I'm not sure it matters because I think Hyperloop accomplishes everything that a vertical takeoff and landing jet can accomplish better, except if you're really, really rich and you want to buy your own and you want to fly yourself. I just think that Hyperloop replaces air travel, period. Unless it's going to be supersonic, then maybe. But even then, you're going to go supersonic, you're going to take Starship, point to point. Big in North Africa, I want to say this again. For places like North Africa, poorer countries, I think a gigafactory-produced Cybervan maybe would make sense. Some kind of minibus, because very few people in these countries can afford their own vehicle that's going to be as costly as even a low-end Tesla compact vehicle. So I don't advise well, first of all, somebody asked, do you advise, this is a couple people ask me, what's my advice on buying or selling Tesla stock, a short-term, whatever. I do not give investment. I don't know your profile. I don't know your risk profile. I don't know your personal situation. I can't tell you what you should do in terms of buying or selling stock. I can tell you what I'm doing. I buy and hold it. I have not sold a Tesla share yet. I do not intend to sell a Tesla share for a very long time, but that's true of most of my holdings. I don't sell stock until I think the stock doesn't have a future anymore, and that's what happened with Honda and Southwest Airlines. I still own Coca-Cola. I still own McDonald's, small
holdings, but I still own Amazon. That's been one of my best investments. I still think Amazon's going to grow, but I can't make that advice to you.
When will Tesla be able to produce their batteries? Okay, so this is a great question. When will Tesla be able to produce their batteries, considering they just signed a 3-year contract with Panasonic? The contract with Panasonic doesn't stop Tesla from producing their own batteries. It just means Tesla is going to buy as many batteries as they can get from as many suppliers as they can get, period. They're going to buy batteries from Panasonic, LG Chem, and CATL, and they're going to produce their own batteries. They're already producing their own batteries now. That is my prediction for battery days. They're going to tell us we're already producing them, and they're already in the plaid you can buy today. That's my optimistic prediction about what's happening. So I think factories in places to produce vehicles for places like India and Africa and Latin America. Latin America is not that poor, but vans, minibuses. Elon, it's in the master plan part 2, part 2, my best imitation of French. It's in the master plan part 2 that they are going to make some kind of minibus or minivan. I think that is coming. And I think it's going to be amazing. So, any thoughts on Novonix? I don't know enough about that. No, I don't think so. So Scott Tisdale asked, you don't think an automated VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing plane, or like a drone for more local trips, is a good solution for traffic, etc.? Why would you do that when you could take a Robo Taxi or a boring company loop tunnel? I don't see the business case for VTOL. I think it sounds cool, and if you're a rich businessman and you want to fly on a plane, it's great. If you're a millionaire, a gajillionaire, and you can spend $5 million on a VTOL, sure, it's a great idea. For regular people, how much is that going to cost? Compare it to how much it's going to cost to hop in a Robo Taxi and take a boring company tunnel to get there. Yeah, I think Giga Brazil is a very serious possibility for the compact, the Tesla compact, and maybe for the minivan, the minibus. Definitely think that's possible for Latin America, and Brazil would be a great location for it. I think Brazil's economy is kind of a mess. I think Latin America is kind of a mess, so it's challenging in that way, but yeah. Samsung is loving the fact they're not supplying. Samsung makes the Tesla FSD chip, so don't be surprised if Tesla makes a deal to buy batteries from Samsung. Tunnels are safer. Yes, tunnels are safer, absolutely. Starship connecting continents, supersonic VTOL crossing continents, Hyperloop crosses continents. I don't think you need VTOL to cross continents. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's a very limited window for VTOL. Maybe. Somebody wants to make that video and show me how the business case works, comparing it to Hyperloop, Loop, and Starship point to point. I'd love to see it. Yeah, Brazil has corruption and it has a lot of economic problems and social problems. I still think there's potential for it, though. I still think the demand is there. Stockholders meeting will be streamed to the public. Yeah, I didn't think so. I think I already voted, and I already asked my questions in the say.com. VTOL can land anywhere. Yeah, maybe, but that's real. The VTOL is very limited. Somebody said VTOL can land anywhere, and Hyperloop is limited to populated and popular areas. Yeah, but how much demand is there to go to places where there isn't anyone? Then that's a problem. It's like, yeah, it's a great idea. If you're rich, if you've got tens of millions of dollars and you can spend a couple $1 million on an electric VTOL, sure, you can do it. But how big is that market? It's not that big. Let's see. Do I think Tesla will make a satellite phone? No. I think the antenna for Starlink is too big to make it work on a phone. That doesn't work. The antenna is like the size of a pizza box. So unless you're going to carry a pizza box on your head, I guess I shouldn't rule that out. People could be walking around with Starlink antennas on their heads. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. That would be fun to see. Tesla in Mexico with NAFTA. I think a Giga Mexico is possible. I don't know why you would bother if you've got Giga Texas. I don't think that makes sense. Je parle un petit peu de français, Elementor. I read French. I don't speak French very well, but I can read it. A little. Let's see. And the air traffic would eventually become limiting. No, I don't think the air traffic... There's a lot of space up there. I don't think that's a big deal. Roadrunner never gets caught by Toyota. Tesla will not be caught. True. Starlink does not work on a phone. You need a huge antenna. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Carl.
VTOL equals Bugatti sales, 82 last year.
Let's see. Gonna sell some Tesla in 2030 to get a dedicated private boring tunnel to my house. Yeah, I like that. All right. I'm running out of steam, so let me take this to one. And I think the questions are kind of general. So let's talk about one other thing that I think people might be excited about. Let's talk about Mars. Are you guys interested in Mars? Can we talk about Mars? I think we've exhausted Battery Day, and we're going to see what happens on Battery Day. Do I have a Japanese wife? No, I had a Japanese fiance, but it turned out she didn't like me that much. So I think I did a video just the other day about Starship variations, and I think we're going to see some amazing stuff with Starship coming really soon. I think we're going to see a Starship going up to 60,000 feet, was it? I forget how high. There's going to be a big Starship launch. I think it's SN 9.1 or something like that. It's going to be going up really big. Mars is not a pipe dream. Mars is coming. I am a big believer in Mars. I'm gonna be on Mars with a Neurolink in my head and a Cybertruck in 10 years or 15 years. Damn it, I'm going. My wife's not going with me. She's gonna be pissed off, but I'm going. I want to go to Mars. Mars is not livable yet, but we're gonna make it work. That is like the adventure of a lifetime. Go to fucking amazing. I can't. I'm so anyway. I made a video about Starship variations, and it got inspired a lot of comments, a lot of really interesting comments. Sorry, going for 2 hours. And I think there's been a lot of talk about a space station, and we would need a space station for this, or what's a space station going to do? And I think some of the comments. Somebody suggested this, that a space station. So one of the big ideas in my Starship video was, for long distance trips, you want to reduce the mass of the ship as much as possible. The ship itself, the cylinder and the engines and the fins or whatever. So for a long distance trip, you could take off the fins and save weight. You could take off engines and save weight. You could go down to 2 vacuum optimized engines, and your Starship could end up achieving a much greater delta V. So now the challenge is, okay, well, you got to get the Starship up into orbit first, and it needs the engines to be able to accelerate to get the velocity, to get to orbital velocity, to escape Earth's gravity enough. It needs to achieve escape velocity. So what if you took the engines off after it got into orbit? Right? What if whatever you need on the ship to get to orbit, once you're in orbit, you can take those things off and you can reduce the mass of the ship. Well, how are you going to do that? That's what the space station is for. The space station is where you put the fins back on before the ship goes back down to Earth, or you transfer from the ship that doesn't have fins to the ship that does have fins, so you can manage the descent onto Earth. So I don't know that I'm capable of it yet, but I have this idea that I'm going to be making a video about an orbital space station in low Earth orbit for the explicit purpose of servicing the Starship fleet. That, I think, is going to be amazing. All right, let me go back to questions here. SpaceX Moon Station, SpaceX Moon Base, then SpaceX Mars Base. I think SpaceX Mars might come before SpaceX Moon. I think that Elon is more interested in Mars than the Moon, and I think he's going for it. I think there will be something on the Moon, but I think like a growing Mars colony is his mission, and I think that's more important than the Moon. We'll see. How long on Mars can someone live without having serious health issues re low gravity? We don't know the answer to that question. One of my videos is about a proposed loop tunnel that would be built that you would be able to hop in, that would give you extra gravity, the feeling of extra gravity, that you might sleep in that, you might spend half your day in that, and that way you would be experiencing full gravity all the time. Other people say, you know what, 0.3 G's is enough, it won't really affect us. We don't know, we're going to find that out the hard way. There's a Hyperloop getting built in Canada? I haven't heard that. That sounds cool. I think $100 per kilowatt hour is already true. Amir, I think $100 per kilowatt hour is already true with LFP. I think lithium iron phosphate is already down below 100, maybe down to $80 or $60 a kilowatt hour. Okay, I'm not going to respond to that one. Modular design starships, cool idea. Yeah, just different ideas, different ways you can do it. I can hear you from South Africa. Thank you. Mars is Mars is harder, I agree, but Mars is much more valuable. There's much more resources, much more potential on Mars than there is on the moon. I think the moon is great. Maybe I'll go to the moon instead of Mars. I don't know, but I gotta go. I gotta go. Let's see. What about Starship Moonlander for the Artemis program? Tesla more likely crash? I don't know. All right. So we've gone for 2 hours. This is the longest live stream I've ever done. Mars don't need vacuum engines because of lack of atmosphere. Mars don't need sea level engines because of lack of atmosphere. Vacuum engines are what they need for Mars. Then there were some great comments on my video, by the way, that Starship won't use the Raptors to land on the moon. They're going to use, I forget what they're called, some other engines that are going to be higher up so that they don't disturb the ground as much when they land. Let's see. Do you think there will be a 1,000-mile range for vehicles? I don't think a 1,000-mile range is necessary. I think for Cybervan and Semi, it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen for regular vehicles anytime soon. Have I invested in 3D printing? No, but I think 3D printing is really interesting, and I have been looking at that. ARK Investments, ARKK is the main fund. They have an email newsletter. They just read an article where they talked about 3D printing. I think that's amazing. I think 3D printing on the space station could be a really cool idea. Starship-sized vehicles rotating, a central extra-large starship for command deck rotating. I think their rotating designs are cool. There's a great video I saw about 3 starships connected by lattice work, and the people would be in the one starship is the one that's propulsion, and the other 2 are rotating around it. I think there's a lot of great ideas for that. Why can't you mention that? Axa, I'm not mentioning it because I don't know what you're talking about. Please stop putting those comments in the chat, or I would ban you, but I'm almost done. So, yeah, please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please share with your friends. Patreon. Check out the merch. I'm done. I've gone 2 hours. This is the longest I've ever done a live stream, and I'm out. So check out the merch. Really appreciate all of you watching. This is probably the best live stream I've ever done. Really enjoyed it and really loved the chat. And I want to thank everyone for watching and thank everyone for your support. Thank my Patreon supporters in particular. Friends like Brian Smith, who's a Patreon supporter and took me for rides in his Teslas. Heather Kane, who supports me. Thank you very much. All the other Patreon supporters. And with special thanks to Joe Ramos, who sponsors this channel. Check Joe in the channel below if you need any IT support. Joe is fantastic. I don't like betting on short-term stuff. I want to ban you for making the same comment over and over again. You get it? If you said it once, I'm not interested. No one cares. No one else is responding to it either. There is a black version of the t-shirt with white letters. There are multiple colors available of all these shirts. So thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate your support and your watching. This was a great, great experience, except for you, Axa. You're annoying. But come back. Goodbye, everyone. Got it? And there we go. We got to work on the UX.